you have anything?
I'm sorry that wasn't clear, but I would suggest if you want a clearer argument, you buy the book.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, just briefly, I think that's, I think the key words there, which Dr. Krauss has used a number of times now, is it can be like this, it may be like this, it's possible for it to be like this, which is not a problem in and of itself, but it is a problem when you then use that to try and qualify or to contend against theories or facts or arguments that are far more plausible. I think this sort of trend is evident throughout. For example, I think there's a clear example here. Dr. Krauss wrote this article just at the beginning of this month in the LA Times, and he says in it that quantum mechanics Heisenberg's uncertainty principle expands what can possibly occur undetected in otherwise empty space. If gravity too is governed by quantum mechanics, then even whole new universes can spontaneously appear and disappear, which means our own universe may not be unique, but instead part of a multiverse. Now that's a logical argument. There's a few premises there, there's a conclusion. But notice how there's a possibility, built upon a possibility, to end up with, obviously, a far lesser possibility. Now, in the end, the argument is highly uncompelling, but possible. But it's being used to say, to qualify, to say, yeah, look, there isn't, there is this model that is far more plausible, the Big Bang model, but, this could be the case, we're still working on, and so we'll stick on to that. We'll come up with new and exotic scenarios of how the world could have been like this or it could have been like that. Now, scientifically, we should look at all possibilities, but the problem occurs when you then grab onto very, very remote possibilities and speculative, highly speculative scenarios in order to contend against arguments or theories that are far, far more plausible.
Let me step back, because you really hit a key point.
Yep.
The key thing of science is we don't claim to know everything. In fact, the point of religion is you claim to know the truth before you know anything. And in science, I make a big distinction between what we know, namely measurable facts, and what might be true, because I believe in being honest. And in fact, as a scientist, one of the most wonderful things about being a scientist, as I've often say, the best state to be in is be either wrong or confused, because it means there's more to learn. So I am happily aware that I don't understand everything. It's evident to me on a daily basis. And therefore, I make a very important point when I write to make a difference between what's been subject to experiment and what is plausible. Now, the fact that something's plausible, I try and explain why it's plausible. The particles in empty space that I talk about from the Eisenhower uncertainty principle are not plausible, they're facts. They produce the best measured predictions in nature that allow us to do spectroscopy, measure, look for cancer, everything else. So those are not speculative. However, we don't have a theory of quantum gravity, and I was upfront about that. I hope one of the things I work on is to try and understand the theory of quantum gravity. But I think it is a hallmark of the one beauty of science that we don't claim to know everything, but it is fascinating that we can ask what's plausible. Now, you say that this leads to an incredibly implausible possibility that space may have been created from nothing. Now, why that is implausible to you, I find amazing. Moreover, why it's more implausible to you than the claim that the universe is so complex that it required a being that was even more complex. But I won't ask where that being created, how that complex being was created, because I can't answer that question, so I'm going to make him eternal. Then I'm going to say that complex being, which is more complex than the universe that I can't understand, created a universe, waited 4.5 billion years, waited 250,000 years for hominids to become reasonable, found an illiterate peasant before video recorders or anything else, and revealed the truth to him. Why you find that more plausible is remarkable to me.